Hello, everyone. My name is Daniela Schwartzman, Strategic Partnerships Manager at BayWa r.e. A super warm welcome to everybody. I'm excited to have ConnectDER here today with us and to have a deep dive on their Islander. So how meter socket adapters are transforming and simplifying solar plus storage installations across the US. Very happy to have Ryan Ataji here as well, Sales Director for ConnectDER. Hi, Ryan.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Hey. We are excited to have you. While everybody is locking on, just a little bit of housekeeping. So just to get yourself familiar with all the different options. Your most important option here is the Q&A. This is how you can ask your questions, share your comments. If you want to communicate with us, I'll be monitoring that Q&A throughout the entire webinar. The chat will not be used for that purpose. We'll post some links right now. You can see some links in there if you want to learn more about BayWa, or if ConnectDER is sharing some additional links and documentation, that would be your resource here. But for everything else, please use the Q&A so we don't miss your question. All right. So before we get started, I'd like to share a little bit about BayWa with you. So in case you're not familiar with BayWa just yet, your success here with us, working with us, is not just supported. It's our priority. And how we do this is displayed here on the slide in a couple of different ways. Smarter planning is one, so you can stay ahead of the demand with accurate forecasting and a dedicated account manager that always is there for you and has your back. It's very easy and fast to purchase through our state-of-the-art web store. You can streamline your operations and procurement with a user-friendly web store, real-time pricing, and immediate ordering. So there's no friction and no delays. Commercial services. So here you can have commercial project confidence through our commercial services. You can tap into expert planning, precise inventory forecasting to keep your commercial jobs running smoothly from the design all the way to the delivery. Transparent, consistent pricing, that's a big one. You can rely on stable pricing across all strategically located US warehouses, so there are no surprises, no hidden fees, and again, everything is available to you and transparent in our web store. Reliable logistics nationwide, so you can access the products you need quickly, thanks to those strategically located warehouses across the country. We offer job site delivery and kitted jobs, so you can have your products delivered straight to your job and construction site, which saves you time and skipping a couple of extra steps here. So if you are located in the US, installing here in the US and have not just yet worked with us, please check out one of those links in there and let's talk how we can support your business and how you can benefit from working with us. All right, without further ado, let's hear it from you, Ryan. Thank you again for sharing all the latest on the Islander.
Thank you so much, Danielle. I appreciate you with offering that introduction, your team. It's been great working with your group as a partnership. And this was a much anticipated opportunity. And so I'm glad we're finally here. Super excited to talk about ConnectDER and our meter socket adapters. My name is Ryan. Ryan Taji. I'm the Sales Director West for ConnectDER. And we'll be going through ConnectDER as a company, what we offer as far as our products and how those apply in the industry. Part of the presentation is we're going to find out who the audience is. That'll be a fun part of our poll question that will come up next. But a lot of this presentation will be geared towards the installer base that's actually out in the field and the electrical contractors that are installing this. Little bit about myself. I come to you from Utah. It's where I call home. I take care of 4 human babies and 2 fur babies in my part-time. I've been involved in the solar industry for 15 years. I was able to enter with a company who piloted a process out in New Jersey 15 years ago. And it's been a really exciting, fun ride along this, what they refer to as solar coaster, right? And so I've got mad appreciation for anybody operating in this space, installers, operators, electrical contractors, with all the various challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis. So I will say also, from a presentation perspective, I've got a really great neighbor. He's been a sales professional for 50 years. He's a friend. He's a mentor. He always says, Ryan, sales is all about the ability to convey useful information. So my goal today is to convey useful information that can be applied to your business, to learn more about the product and how it streamlines opportunity for installers and for the homeowner end user, and overall create more value in the space. One thing to note is that we are giving away a free Islander. So more to come on that towards the end of the presentation. But if you're on the webinar, you're going to be entered into that possibility of winning a free Islander. So with that, let's jump into the first poll question. And I believe Daniela, you'll take this away.
Yes. Okay, so the first question, we want to know who you are. So we can really gear and tailor the presentation to your needs. Are you a solar installer, battery manufacturer, other OEM? Are you utility personnel, electrical contractor, or other? So this is the opportunity to share with us who you are. If you want to share, if you pick other, if you want to share what trade you are in, please do so in the Q&A. We are always curious to learn about you. It looks like we're still getting all the responses in. So far, we have the solar installers in the lead and quite a few of others. So I'm super curious to learn who the others are. So
yeah,
share with us.
initially we'd place this other in there hoping that there would be the capability to dial in and type in what it is. But yeah, this is very interesting. It was towards 50-60% solar installer and a few others. A lot of electrical contractors, which is in that same installer, in market category.
So we have some of the others as PV and BESS design engineers, solar installers, electrical contractors, smart breaker panels. So a whole big range of different services offered here. Solar designers. Thank you guys for sharing. We have generator services and sales. Wonderful. Thank you all for being here today.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. This is fun to see that information coming in. We wanted to put polls out there that give us more information about who the audience is. So with that, we'll jump into meter socket adapters. I consider myself a nerd, right? What a nerdy topic, but it's so exciting because of what meter socket adapters can do. I always tell people nerds run the world. Talking about engineers, solar operators, people that are out there doing stuff, making the world a better place in the real world. So meter socket adapters are all about a faster, easier, more profitable solar plus storage installation. So with that, we have a lineup of meter socket adapters that address solar, battery, and EV charger installations. So across these three types of products, the main emphasis during this presentation is going to be time savings and cost savings, how that all translates into a greater value for installers and obviously the customers that you serve. So on this theme of time is money, early in my career, I had an opportunity to run an office in the Bay Area as a sales manager, and we had the ability to prospect in specific areas, cities. And I strategically selected cities that had a very fast turnaround for permitting. The reason why we did that should be obvious, but we were able to turn around customers very quick, hopefully adding a really great value and quality of installation, but also speed, or what I refer to as velocity. So this enabled me as a sales manager and a sales representative to deliver to my customer, and then also to get referrals sooner and better, and more referrals, which builds a business. So ConnectDER is all about that. This is how we approach the market with our meter socket adapters. We are now in a post 25D world. The federal ITC is gone, right? Constant changes in this industry. So this means more competitive pricing and value if you're offering cash and finance options, right? We promote that. And or if you're leveraging TPOs now, it's all about velocity. And that's how you compete in the space. So we hope that you can align those goals that you would have with what we're doing at ConnectDER. Our goal is to simplify your installs, and specifically you'll find with what we're displaying here on the screen now, Islander, it's going to be the focus of the presentation, embedding our MID and our consumer or CTs, consumption CTs within the device. So the whole point of this is to offer time and cost savings for you, a smoother process for homeowners, makes utilities happy, makes HJs happy, and it's a win for the industry, the grid, the planet, and distributed energy deployment in general. One thing I will note is that our name ConnectDER, if you didn't already know, the capitalized DER on the end stands for Distributed Energy Resources. So this is our game. This is what we do. All right, so let's jump into a little bit about ConnectDER. Who are we, and how have we evolved over the years? Consequently, ConnectDER started in the industry the same year I did in 2011. 3 years later, pioneered the very first meter socket adapter. We consider ourselves the definitive leader in the space. Over these years and across 3 different types of products, emphasizing time savings and cost savings, we've also received a lot of feedback from our installer base and from the field, which has allowed us to iterate and improve over this time period. I first heard about meter socket adapters when I was running this East Bay office. My ops manager mentioned the idea of a meter socket adapter. At that time, I didn't recognize it was ConnectDER, but then did and started following this. But what a powerful tool back then. You know, he then noted that it's got to go through UL listing and different utilities before it was delivered to that particular market. But what a great opportunity to avoid main panel upgrade. And I've been following the company and have the privilege of working here at ConnectDER over the last year. So over these years, we've been working with utilities, installers, OEMs, which have provided this constant feedback. We've evolved this product from primarily being on the solar side of things, main panel avoidance, over into circuit relocation avoidance with our Islander product and having that released in recent years. So with that, let's jump into another poll for the audience.
So, what is your familiarity with MSAs? If we could launch the poll, you have 4 options to choose from. We may have to, there it is. What's your familiarity? Very familiar. I've installed one before. Familiar, but not have installed one. Heard of them, but not that familiar. Or unfamiliar. So how familiar are you with MSAs? So let's see. You can vote right now. Just put in your answers. Looks like a little bit of a tie. Very familiar, both of which make about 60, almost 70%. But we want to hear from all of you. If some more votes come in. I think the result is going to stay the same. Ryan, we have some experts here.
Yeah, it's a very talented group here. I have experts or experience with the product, which is great. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate that. So let's move on. We want to talk about the 3 different types of products that we offer in the marketplace. We pioneered the solar MSA. One quick shout out to our marketing team, who's recently developed and deployed a new website and put together this presentation. We're comprised of a group of pioneers and perfectionists, and you'll find that on our website. And that's really has to do with the group of individuals that have developed out these products from the onset as of 15 years ago. So starting with the solar meter socket adapter, all-in-one supply-side connection for rooftop solar in various sizes, depending on the configuration that you're building for your homeowner. The main product feature and value that this offers is to avoid the necessity of a main panel upgrade or a main panel replacement, as my engineers would want me to say. Then we moved on to a response from the market. The market, with the advent of electric vehicles, desired a way to interconnect with a product, and same feature, which is to avoid main panel upgrade. This particular product supports 100 and 125 amp services for homes. It's limited to that. So any of those homeowners that have got a 100, 125 amp that want to get a level 2 charger and install that, we throw a meter socket adapter in there, and now they've got level 2 charging for their home. Great solution. And with this go-to-market strategy, it's more of a broader go-to-market strategy with some of these automaker OEMs. And on to Islander, which is going to be the focus of this presentation, of course. The demand shifts from main panel upgrade avoidance to avoiding circuit relocation as a primary function. So again, this is a group of pioneers and perfectionists building products that have a universal application and allow for groups to standardize as part of their offering. So with that, let's move on to the key players in the industry that are deploying these products. So over the last 15 years, we've been able to develop relationships with trusted installers, both nationally and regionally. You'll see some of those icons that we've shared in here. There are many others. And with that, had the fortune of installing over 40,000 devices across the United States, open in dozens of utilities across the United States. By the way, our company is based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So we're an American company. But we've had this fortune of working with many other American companies and installers throughout the US. So what we'd like to do now is to provide real clear feedback from an actual installer. This is Cosmic Solar. They operate out of the San Diego area. This is Pei Shadzis, this Chief Operating Officer. He's had the opportunity to leverage Islander in their market. And we're going to play a quick video that where not only are you able to get some visuals on the product and see, but also a review from a real world installer.
Over the years, one of the pain points has been getting your equipment electrically in between the home loads and the SDG&E meter. In the past, we've had to move many breakers and circuits out and put them into a sub-panel, and it requires a lot of labor, materials, time, permitting. Could add $5,000–$6,000 or more to a project. So now with the Islander meter collar, you can leave all your loads in your main service panel, and for a low price, SDG&E will come out and install it for you. And it saves, it can save $5,000–$6,000 in many cases, and it provides a much more sleek, cleaner look on the wall, fewer boxes, fewer materials, and fewer things to go wrong. So it's one of the most revolutionary pieces of equipment that I've seen since we started installing solar, and it saves literally thousands of dollars, saves days on the job. I'm encouraged by how
Okay, thank you for that. We appreciate Cosmic Solar and Pei for going on camera and talking about his experience with Islander. As mentioned, not only is there anywhere between $5,000 and $6,000 in savings on a project that ties directly into that circuit relocation, but also he referenced the visual appeal and the revolutionary nature of this device in at least his experience in the solar space, which I'd love to echo that. So we encourage installers to take a look at our product and standardize as they can. And so we'll move on to the next poll with Daniela.
Yeah, let's see how you guys feel about this after seeing and hearing this and maybe having had some experiences. Do you feel there's value in using an MSA backup switch device at the meter to avoid circuit relocations? Very simple. Yes, no, or maybe. Please vote now.
Almost looks like we planted an audience here, Daniela, because we were at 100% till just 1 minute, and then it went to maybe. But yeah, pretty much 100%
Good
are
job,
saying
Ryan.
Yeah. Well,
it's very clear. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing like a real life installation voice, seeing how much that actually impacts the business. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your participation. This is the point in the presentation where I'd like to refer to this. My parents would like the meat and potatoes, right, of what we're here to present, talk about Islander meter socket adapter. My kids would say, if you're not paying attention, it's time to lock in, right? So we've got a lot of features and benefits of Islander, and we want to speak to these clearly and how we stand out in the industry, and reflect on our time in and how we've evolved to this Islander product. So this Islander meter socket adapter is revolutionary. So there's a 15-minute install at the meter. So whether this is happening in limited areas where they allow the installer to do this, or if it's done by a meter tech from a utility as part of their process, still it's 15 minutes at the meter. And I would say that if you have this done in a utility location by a meter tech, it actually happens without having to roll a truck, because the process is such that they will show up and they'll install this. Of course, interested in the safety aspects of these types of products, and they'll handle that themselves. This deploys a microgrid interconnect device. We usually refer to this as a MID, or an automatic transfer switch. This is embedded inside of this device. If you look at the center image on this device, you'll see that it's comprised of a meter base, which is the circular piece about the size of a large grapefruit. And then on top, you have a connection module, or referred to as a CM. Often folks will refer to meter socket adapters as MSAs, of course, and also colors. But one and the same, it's comprised of those two components, the base and the connection module. And one thing that you cannot see here, which is a huge value, I'll refer to a few of these, product specs as exclusive to ConnectDER. So starting with the MID override switch, underneath this MSA base, there is a little key that's attached to the bottom. It can be removed with a Phillips screwdriver. So this is an override switch that indicates if there's issues with the communication on the device. Let's say, for example, that it is on battery. So it has now been switched over from grid to battery, which, by the way, that MID switches over in a fraction of a second once the power goes down with the grid. So let's say that it's on battery power and there's some sort of communications issue. Well, a technician can go on site, remove that key, insert it into the bottom, and then there's a printed open. So then you pull down, which manually activates the switch into an open status, restoring power back to the homeowner from the utility. We're the only product that has this type of a feature on our device as a manual key. So that part of it's really fun. This device integrates consumption current transformers, referred to as CTs, in addition to the MID. So this is a critical component as a part of these battery manufacturers' system, and provides those benefits of the CTs and the MID integrated into one device. You'll notice I referenced the connection module. All right, so this looks like an old school telephone receiver. I'm aging myself, but a little small telephone receiver on top. It is removable. So you'll notice the connection hasps on the sides, so it can lock into place, as well as the lock ring that's provided in the box, just to prevent tampering. This connection module can be reversed. So please don't get this confused with flipping upside down. It does not flip upside down. It just reverses from left to right, right to left. So you'll see in the existing configuration that we've displayed here with the Franklin system, it's coming off of the left side with that analog cable that's attached to the connection module. So reversible connection module, there's no other product in the industry of a meter socket adapter that offers this flexibility. The LED status lights. So you'll see that displayed on the end of the connection module, highlighted in green. And just to dive into this a little bit, again, it's another feature that doesn't exist with any other meter socket adapter. The benefit passes on to the technician, to the utility, to the homeowner, to be able to understand and know the status of Islander simply by looking at the LED display. This is a huge value with any sort of diagnostic issues, or when plugging it in to make sure that it is operational. So it'll have a few statuses in there. It'll let you know if it's connected in general, and then it will also say if it's utility connected or if it's isolated on the battery system. And then there's also a status light at the bottom in case of any sort of issues that arise. So those features are the ones I wanted to point out as far as us being exclusive to ConnectDER and Islander, and we offer a 12.5-year warranty. You'll notice the battery partners that we've placed at the bottom. We'll dive into that a little bit here in the presentation and talk about who those battery partners are and how they're so important with this development of Islander.
There's actually a question, Ryan, if you could jump back. So there's a question about those partners. Are there companies listed below certifying, listing their PCS controls with your consumption CTs?
So the question is, are they listed? Sorry?
Are the companies listed below certifying, listing their PCS controls with your consumption CTs?
Yes. We are the critical component, and we'll talk about the analog versus digital and where the PC is located. But it is a critical component in the PC management.
Thank you.
If you need any further context, yes, any further context, please email me directly, sales@connectder.com, and also support@connectder.com. One thing I did want to mention too is that I'll be referencing our installation manual and our tech specs. Most of the questions that end up coming further down the line once you start deploying these products are found in the installation manual. It's a super interesting, nerdy read. It's 70 pages, but there's good information in there, and you can find out most of what you'll have questions on. Can be found again at our website, and then we'll be sending this document and presentation, which has got links to it. So thank you for the question.
Yeah, and I assume this documentation you're referring to also has a little bit more information about the key and what you were describing before earlier, right?
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to value comparison with Islander specifically. As mentioned by Pei in the video, saving an average of 4 to 8 hours. I would say a lot of the installers that have given feedback is this equates to a full day for a master electrician, or 2 days in some cases, depending on the setup and what's being installed of time, which is a lot. Not only is it the cost savings of $2,500 to $5,000, Pei offered up in Southern California, $5,000 to $6,000 savings. This is also the time on site with an installer. With a homeowner. Just in the last week, I've had feedback from a homeowner on a different, home improvement project, talking about the anxiety that's experienced when there's someone working on the house. They need to be there, they need to be around. We're eliminating a lot of that. We're also adding to the visual appeal on the side of the house by concentrating the technology right behind the meter. So in addition to this, it's a 15 to 30 minute installation time. Cutting down on that time. Time is money. The battery choice, there is versatility and optionality with our battery partners. So you can work with multiple battery partners and use the same product. We're first in industry to offer a universal product for multiple battery partners. And we're continually adding new battery partners. We're willing to do that. I would make a little side note here that often installers ask me, what about battery company X, Y, or Z? Well, really, the encouragement goes to the battery company. We're open and we're agnostic. We'll work with anybody that's willing to go through the process of integrating with us. So please let them know, and they can reach out to us, and we'll work on an integration. The meter socket types. So this is a result of field feedback over 15 years, building a device that allows for ring, ringless, 2S, 12S forms, lever, horn bypass, standalone, and meter main configurations. I can brag a little bit about our product as far as the fitment into the meter sockets. I've experienced this in real world versus a lot of the competition, and it's a very tight, neat fit. And that all goes into the build and engineering from our team. I'd be remiss if I didn't say anything about safety. I believe that my feedback shows that AHJs, utilities, and our engineering team really appreciate the low risk as far as safety with these devices versus other methods. All right, so let's jump into another poll question, Daniela.
Yeah, let's do it. Now let's talk a little bit about the battery partners. Which do you currently install with or plan to install in the near future? You can choose more than one, so multiple choice here. We have EcoFlow, Fox ESS, we have Franklin WH, Lunar Energy, Solar Edge Nexus, or other. And again, if you want to share who the others are, please do so in the Q&A. So we know. Big other category.
Yeah, a lot of Franklin coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Significant amount of
See that
other.
lady.
Everybody else on there: EcoFlow, Lunar, Solar Edge Nexus.
So
Oh, this is great.
EG4 was one that's not on the list that someone mentioned here in the Q&A.
Oh, good. Yeah, this is great feedback, and I can speak to that specifically. There are we actually had an all hands meeting today, and our program manager talked about the different battery partners that we are spinning up. EG4 is one that we expect to have before the end of the year, so it should be late 2026. We're in full integration with them, and then there are about 5 others that are following the current ones that we have and EG4. So we're excited to integrate with any of these battery partners that can work with us and integrate. There is a lot of work that goes into the process, and I will brag a little bit about the ConnectDER team. We really are an authority when it comes to the integration process, helping battery partners actually understand what needs to be done from a listing perspective and how to integrate with these utilities. So we've provided great support to those teams, and getting them launched in areas and approved is no small feat.
Absolutely. We have a couple others, Fortress, Deka, BNS. And there's a question about that as well. So I have a question. The battery integration requires recertification testing or listing by third-party NRTL if the battery has a listing already. So that's the question.
Yes. We facilitate and support in the NRTL or NERTL certification with our battery partners. Absolutely. Great question. All right. Thank you for letting me know, Danielle, on questions. I don't know that I'm seeing those pop up. Thank you. Moving on with these specific battery partners, we'll talk a little bit about them and the products that they've deployed in the market. Franklin Whole Home, to start off with, is approved with A-Power 2 and A-Power S, which is their latest version of battery. Lunar Energy has entered the space with their Lunar Energy branded battery we're compatible with. EcoFlow has their Ocean Pro series, which is a new release into the market of the last year, when prior to that it's been more kind of like the home storage space, and now this is a wall installed product. Fox ESS with their Power Q, and now Solar Edge. To be very specific with Solar Edge, because they're such a big player in the market and have been around, their traditional batteries before Nexus are not compatible. This is only compatible with their new Nexus platform that's being released in the moment and in Q3. So with these battery companies, a lot of the questions that come back to us from installers have to do with, in this new landscape of 2026, what AVLs are you on? So a lot of our management leadership team come from the finance side of things. We communicate with the finance companies. We're not required to be on AVLs. So the answer is, if your battery is on it, ConnectDER is on it. No need to worry. We work with them, and we collaborate on how to enter in the right information, post the right photos within those AVLs and for those finance companies. But if the battery's on it, we're on it. We are a US-based company, so this term of foreign entity of concern, FEOC, has become common as of the last 2 years. We are a non-FEOC company. So we also reside in the space of balance of system, BOS. And so a lot of the discussion around domestic content is not really applicable for BOS product. We manufacture some of our product right out of Philadelphia. So we're a US-based and US manufacturing company. So let's talk a little bit about the different models. Okay, so with Islander, we've got 2 models. We talked about Solar MSA and its evolution and the latest model. You're welcome to visit our website, reference what markets are open, etc., and find out about that. We're going to focus on the two models with Islander here. First is the analog model. And I jokingly tell folks, I love technology, it's beautiful, but if I were to be one or the other, I'd be the analog model, working on my digital capabilities. But you're seeing here on your screen, as you're following along, the same configuration that we've been putting up since the beginning of this presentation, which is that Franklin whole home as a demonstration. So with the analog, this again is capable with the A power 2 and A power S, and you're seeing a little line diagram. You've got the meter socket adapter, the Islander, that's behind the meter. It's got its connection module coming off to the left with a fixed analog 6-foot cable. We landed on a 6-foot fixed cable because it allows you to place that meter adapter controller. So introducing this meter adapter controller, or the controller, Franklin refers to this as MAC for meter adapter controller, which is part of that PCS, right? And we're the critical component as a part of that, can go directly from the Mac with that 6-foot analog cable directly into the A power 2 or A power S. In this particular configuration, you're noticing an optional A hub. The A hub with the Franklin system allows for homeowners to have energy management functionality, much like their gateway. So it replaces that functionality so they don't have to miss out on anything. It is optional. You can get full whole home backup with an Islander and a meter adapter controller by Franklin. And you'll notice in the line diagram, the line goes directly from the meter socket adapter over to the meter adapter controller. And then as we switch, thank you. And then as we switch over to the digital configuration, oh, I will mention while we're on the analog slide, this applies to Franklin Whole Home, EcoFlow, Fox ESS, and Lunar. Those are our analog partners. And the digital portion, which we're going to talk about now, is exclusively reserved for SolarEdge and the SolarEdge Nexus platform.
There's a question, how do you comply with the hold-down kit requirement for battery breaker when installing in the main panel?
That's a great question. I don't know how to answer that one specifically. If you don't mind sending that to support@ConnectDER.com, I would probably mess up an answer to that one, to be perfectly honest.
No, that's great. I'll put the email out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great question. I love it. There's so many rabbit holes we can go down with our product and the detail orientation around that, and I love it. So the digital model of Islander is only slightly different from the analog. Okay, this has a digital communication. The connection module on top is almost the exact same. The one difference is that it is exited with a Cat5 or an Ethernet cable. The benefit to that is it can be customized on site, where with analog you'll have that 6-foot length. This you'll be able to customize on site and run the distance to the battery. I will kind of take you back a little bit mentally on the analog version with the 6-foot cable to the meter adapter controller, specifically with the Franklin configuration, because most of you have experience with Franklin. You have about 170-foot distance from the MAC to the battery. So that gives you flexibility and length as far as being able to run that battery distance. So again, with the digital, now you've got the customizable comms cable on site, and you can run whatever distance that you need to. And that's the Cat5 Ethernet cable. All right, so we're going to summarize a little bit the value proposition that Islander specifically brings to the market. We've talked about some of its features and the benefits, and this will be a little wrap up of what those are. First and foremost, the field-friendly design. We have built this design that's applicable to most scenarios that you're going to run into in the field. Sleek, elegant, connection module, reversible, and it's not going to get in the way. This superior engineering, the no fan, you know what? Now I'm recognizing, team, I bypassed the fan issue on our features and benefits. So that's on me. Just mentally, we don't need to go back in the slides, but if you did notice on the Islander image, there's a black section on the side. It looks like shark gills. Those are heat sinks that we have built into the product, and it's one of those features that I mentioned previously that is it's unique to us. This is passive cooling. It doesn't require a fan. So that heat sink allows for the dissipation of heat to take place without any moving parts, which correlates really well with Franklin Whole Home and the fact that they have passive cooling as well. So huge shout out to our engineering team who's figured out the right ceramic material and the ability to deal with 200 amp pass through and dissipate that heat. We believe that that will result in a longer lasting product and less interruptions for the homeowner. So glad we went back to that. My bad on skipping over that.
Can I jump in here real quick? A couple more technical questions
Sure.
as you're talking about this. What size electric service can Islander be used on?
It's up to 200 amp. This is a common question that we get. Thank you for bringing that up. Often installers will ask, what about 400, 225? When are we going to have it? Our program managers, product managers state that they don't see a future where those will be capable unless something changes in the materials that are being put out there just for the heat rise. So it's up to 200 amps. Great question.
And how about a neutral wire? Does the Islander have a neutral wire?
Great question. Yes. I understand there are different products in the space that require a neutral to be landed. Fortunately, with Islander, the way it's been designed, it does not require a neutral to be landed. We do have other products that do require that solar and the EV, which it comes with a little bit more, let's say, friction or adaptability to land that neutral, but this one thankfully does not have that.
I have a couple more questions around technical issues. Are there certain panel models it is not compatible with?
The panel models you'll find, and there's not really a list, but it's more about the connection module and where it's placed and whether or not that obstructs a door opening. I can tell you that that's different from other products in the space where their connection comes out of the bottom side. Those would be a DQ for those products, where not for us. So there's no blockage on the bottom. It's really just about the site survey, getting good photo imagery, and knowing whether or not there's blockage from the top. I had a lot of conversation with our engineering team just this week, and we are working on the next version of Islander, and we're going to limit the stand up on that connection module, and we're trying to cut a significant amount of space there so that we can work with those overhead panels. Great question.
That sounds great. And then a regional question. I'm in South Carolina. AHJs all require an AC disconnect between grid and inverter. How does this integrate?
Yeah, from what I understand, as far as that configuration, you would just be required to install it. And we couldn't bypass that need or that requirement that the AHJ is calling out.
Thank you.
Okay, great questions. So, and please interject if you have any others. Happy to answer those. We're on Superior Engineering, talking about the passive heating. Also, the Islander does deploy a feature I didn't speak about before, wasn't in the presentation, which is if the battery goes dead or is bricked, the Islander MID can override. There's an interlock mechanism that automatically sends an export signal to the battery, and so that it can be kicked back on when the grid power comes back on. So amazing engineering that goes into this product. If you feel it, if you touch it, you'll know that it's well engineered and a quality product. Socket compatibility, we went over that. 2S, 12S forms, virtually every meter socket that exists, this will fit in. And so that compatibility is very wild, offering a universal product for all of your installations with our battery partners. And then our expert installer support. We have our battery partners on board to support their systems and us as a critical component in that, right? ConnectDER's grown its customer success department along with growing increased product adoption throughout the years. And so we are ready and willing to address any escalated issues that are associated with Islander. Okay, let's talk about coverage. There are coverage and installation methods. So there are two distinct installation methods offered with Islander. The utility approved territories are listed here for Islander specifically, although our market is the entire United States, and that would be deployed with what we refer to an additional standalone or a second socket solution. So you can see these markets. You can reference our website. Feel free to go on there and look both based off of Islander, Solar Simple, and then also we call it Solar Simple, and also our EV products. But we'll dive into these two. If we can move on to the next slide. So the first one is going to be installations behind the meter. So this is a utility installation, and the utilities call out a specific process. They refer to it as a standard. So this is a foolproof installation, takes 15 or 30 minutes. It's behind the utility billing meter, and the utility meter tech will come out and install this device. The process varies by utility, but generally the same, where the installer coordinates a date time with the utility. They leave the product hanging on the wall in a weatherproof, visible bag. I'm assuming many of you installers have already done this with other products in this space or familiar. And then the utility technician physically comes by and installs the meter socket adapter, runs a validation test, and then it's complete. So we jokingly say it gets installed in the middle of the night, where it's not really the case. It's just, it gets planned, it gets hung, and then the job gets done. The point is that there's no need to roll an additional truck. And then we have a separate or standalone socket installation. This is an installation that's supported. Again, I'll give a shout out to our installation manual, newly updated and available on our website. And in this presentation, please read through to see any sort of configurations that you may face. We understand that this is going to vary based off of territory and based off of what's trying to be achieved. Is it a meter standalone? Is it a meter main? But these are generally approved all throughout the United States, pending your AHJ and utility. So this is good for markets where the utility has not approved meter socket adapters, and really more prevalent with single socket meter cans. The meter main combos offer the ability to do this as well. And in some of those cases, it ends up being a partial home backup versus whole home backup.
So
okay.
On that note, Islander can do partial and whole home, correct?
That is correct, yes. Okay, good. Are there any questions that have come up, Danielle, that I can address?
Yes, there are a few more questions around like battery systems. And do you want to go through the resources first, or would you like to dive right into the battery questions?
Yeah, let's go with the questions.
So what is the largest size battery system that Islander can handle?
Oh, great question. It's virtually unlimited. There are some firmware restrictions with specific battery partners, and as they update the firmware, then it expands to an unlimited size of battery.
And what is the process for battery to integrate with the Islander?
Yeah, so they can contact sales, they can contact me. We'll put them in touch with our product managers, and then they execute agreements and start working on the integration, find out what intentions are, and get going. There is a very long list of batteries that have executed an initial memorandum of understanding with our company, and then we work with them as they offer up, a response, a level of response with us.
That's awesome. Another question: does Islander have software or firmware?
Islander is. That's a great question. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's got software embedded into it. I don't believe that it's got firmware. I can get back to you. Whoever asked that question, please email me and I'll get you a solid answer. But my initial answer would say yes, software, no to firmware.
Yeah, and please note the email is right here on the presentation. If you want to reach out to Ryan for those specific questions, you can do that. For the Ethernet communication, is there a Modbus list?
Is there a what, sorry?
Modbus, I'm sorry if I'm butchering this. MODBUS.
I don't know that I necessarily understand the nature of that question. The Ethernet Cat5 cable goes directly into how Nexus has engineered the input. And so, great question. Maybe that could be expanded upon and sent out separately.
Yeah. Thank you. And what are the actual LED lights? What statuses can we see?
Yeah, great question. So the LED lights have the first in line, not a great image to display, but it shows whether or not it's connected to the utility in general. So once it gets plugged in, you'll have a light that indicates whether or not it's connected, it's working, it's tied in, it's connected. It'll indicate whether or not it's isolated from the grid or whether it's using utility power. So connected in general, isolated, utility power, and then there's one more light at the bottom that gives a general status. And that status is just to let you know if there's any sort of fault. And you can refer to that in the installation manual to see what that would look like.
Awesome. Is the data sheet for this 120, 208 volt three-phase version available?
Yes. Technical specs and installation manual, all available online. They're in this resource, so feel free to take a look.
Yes, please. Look at the resources here displayed on this slide, just to really wrap my head around it. So I can install the Islander even if my utility hasn't approved meter collars. Is that correct?
That is correct, and that would be our standalone meter socket installation. And I can review back really quick since this is displayed. You'll notice that the standalone deploys a separate meter socket that would be installed by the installer. You're avoiding any interaction with the utility. And on front of that, you have a meter jumper cover. So that just covers it because there's no meter on top of that. It's a secondary meter socket, and it will function the same as it would with a utility installed device or behind the meter.
Yeah, this is great. Really great versatility here. Something for every market. If you have any more questions, you can post them now. Otherwise, just check out those resources. The webinar will be available to you afterwards as well. So
yeah, if I might say, you're welcome to reach out to me directly. I've put my direct number on there. There's also a link to book a meeting if you'd like to book a meeting. We participate in many industry events. Would love to meet you all in person. It's RE+, it's Intersolar. Many of the California-based CALSA events we'll show up to. Love to meet you installers and industry experts in person. Again, shout out to our marketing team who's rebuilt and revamped our website. The FAQs have been updated and they're really, really well done. As far as the giveaway, just wanted to let the audience know that I'll be handling this myself. I jokingly refer to me being an analog Islander instead of digital. So I'm going to cut up all of the names, put them in a bowl, and then I'll have my 12-year-old son pull out a name. And so before the end of the day, I will notify someone in attendance that they've won a free Islander. And in all seriousness, it'll be really exciting. Hopefully it's a group that hasn't deployed Islander yet. And that way we'll be able to walk you through the process and support and encourage you to continue to adopt as a standard operating procedure moving forward.
This is amazing and very generous. Thank you for providing this amazing giveaway. And thank you everybody for showing up today. This is super exciting. You can reach out to Ryan, as he said, and also to your BayWa OSR, to your representative that will help you get your hands on the ConnectDER Islander, and also to most of those battery products that we have discussed today as well. Ryan, I really appreciate you. Thank you for taking this time. Thank you for the amazing partnership, for taking this opportunity here to share all of the good about the Islander with our customers and installers.
Yes, no problem. My pleasure. This was a great opportunity. Wonderful audience. Thank you for paying attention. You'll get all of the goodies afterwards so that you know what to do and how to proceed. And we're more than happy to help support in all of your actions out in the space.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for the kind comments here in the chat, for all your questions, and see you next time. Thanks, everybody.